I think everybody knows. If Hitler would have won World War II, we would all be speaking German right now.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
ਪਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ 'ਚ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ
ਬੋਲੇ ਸੋ ਨਿਹਾਲ
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
ਬੋਲੇ ਸੋ ਨਿਹਾਲ
ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ।
What exactly did Canadian veterans fight for? The country of Canada and Canadian people, presumably. But right now, Canada is being flooded with non-Canadian people who have nothing to do with Canada, and they certainly do not respect our history and our customs, at least some of them. We are seeing them not only not assimilate, but they're being encouraged by our major institutions to keep speaking their foreign language.
ਰੱਬ ਸਾਡੀ ਤਰਤ ਰੱਖੇ ਆਜ਼ਾਦ ਤੇ ਸ਼ਾਨ ਵਾਲੀ।
There's even been Sikhs in Canada saying, lest we forget, not to talk about fallen Canadian soldiers, but to talk about their own people. And look around. Foreigners of all types all over Canada are co-opting Canadian institutions to benefit their people, not Canadian people. So yeah, politicians are talking about foreign interference. I'm a little bit more concerned about the foreign invasion that's happening right now. An election's coming up next year and people are talking about the economy, building homes and tax cuts. We are experiencing a radical demographic change in Canada because of mass immigration. We have one of the fastest growing populations in the world next to countries like Central African Republic, Somalia, and the Congo. This is a government-approved invasion, and none of the politicians of major parties are doing anything to stop it. And next to no mainstream or even alternative media are even talking about this. If Canada were to become a majority East Indian population, would it even be Canada anymore? Will you even want to live here anymore? Personally, I would not like to live in Brampton because it doesn't feel like Canada, it doesn't look like Canada, and it certainly doesn't smell like Canada. We saw this coming, folks. The writing was clearly on the wall when they fired Canadian icon Don Cherry for making immigrants feel uncomfortable for not wearing a poppy. So the discomfort of an immigrant was more important than honoring fallen Canadian soldiers. Am I getting that right? And then every major institution and major media outlet was clamoring to support this decision. What kind of message does that send? It says, fuck veterans, and we're going to bend over backwards to make sure Pardeep, Ahmed are not uncomfortable for being told, you should respect this place. You should respect this country by wearing a poppy. That was 5 years ago. And just look where we're at now.
Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian.
A Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian.
Our common home, your home, my home, our home. Let's bring it home.
Pierre Poilievre on a regular basis calls rooms full of East Indians or Chinese Canadian patriots. In 2021, Parliament unanimously agreed that residential schools are genocide. Basically, every politician in this country said, yep, our history is racist. We're just heartless, genocidal maniacs. Cancel Canada Day. Take down the Sir John A. Macdonald statues. He was just a racist anyway. When did hating this country and its history become normal, become acceptable, become a regular CBC talking point? And by the way, if it sucks so much, then why are so many people flocking here to rape and pillage our resources, goodwill, and social services? I could say the worst possible things that I like about uniquely Canadian history, uniquely Canadian icons, everything that is uniquely Canadian, and no one would even care. But if you criticize East Indians who just got here for pooping on the beach, the police are gonna show up at your door. And I'm sure every political leader made their measured Remembrance Day remarks, but these are the same people near the levers of power in this country, and they are the ones enabling this invasion and orchestrating this erasure of Canadian identity and Canadian people. Ironically, protecting Canadian people is exactly what the fallen soldiers we're commemorating today died for. You think Canadian soldiers were fighting and dying for a maple leaf logo, lines on a map, or a piece of paper that says Canadian citizen on it? No, they were fighting for their families, for their people, for their shared ancestry and values which make up the country of Canada. They wanted to protect this country, its European cultural character and Christian values. But now, anybody who wants to respect and honor this country and what it truly means to be Canadian is the bad guy now.
So I guess I'm the bad guy now. If that's how it's going to be, then that's how it's going to be.
So what do we do about this? Well, we gotta get Trudeau out. As you can see, this problem is not just Trudeau. It's our institutions, it's our media complex, and the entire political class facilitating this. You have to stop thinking, Canada, that taking 5 seconds to vote every 4 years is going to solve this problem. The solution lies within yourself. Me, you, all of us need to start respecting ourselves and honoring ourselves, our ancestors, and our country. These men sacrificed their lives. They were afraid of death and bullets. And what are you afraid of? Being called names? Having someone with blue hair say you're a bad person? Being judged by institutions that clearly hate you already? We have nothing to lose at this point. And in a nutshell, we've been too nice. We've been people pleasers who allowed ourselves to be walked all over. And that hurt. Because we allowed all types of people, politicians, and our own institutions to disrespect us. Our so-called leaders betrayed us. They sold us out so they could personally get a leg up. Are these people really Canadians anymore? No, they're traitors.
Nobody forced me to join the military. I was prepared to be killed in action. What I wasn't prepared for, Mr. Prime Minister, is Canada turning its back on me.
Why are we still fighting against certain veterans groups in court? Because they are asking for more than we are able to give right now.
So do not be distracted by them calling you racist or saying that's anti-Indigenous. For some of them, it's probably literally part of their job description at this point. Oh, but my wife or girlfriend, Becky on Twitter, got mad. Listen to your heart. Listen to the blood pumping through your veins. What does it say? It says do something. It says honor what came before you and fight for a future that your kids will be proud of. The disrespect that Canadians have endured is over. A lot of young Canadian men died for Canada. And I want to bring attention to something else that happened in Hamilton last week. A bunch of young men put up a banner that said mass deportations now. And of course, all the people on the media, TV said, this is hateful. Oh, this does not belong in Canada. No, these are Canadians who are fed up of being disrespected, being disregarded, and having their country and identity erased. These young men are standing up for themselves, their culture, their people, and their country. And there's absolutely nothing hateful about that, about asserting yourself. Because Canada, we've invited way too many people into our home. They're ungrateful, they're disrespectful of your family, and the foundations of this house. So just like you would say to a disrespectful, unruly house guest, it's time for you to leave. Because living in this country, this high-trust society of milk and honey, is a privilege. Living among kind, charitable neighbors in safe neighborhoods, is that not something worth fighting for? Lest we forget what these men did for us. The least that you can do for yourself is have some self-respect. Canada, we cannot be afraid to assert ourselves. This war takes place in our social interactions every day, and your weapon is your voice. And the Canadian government and various institutions are trying to scare you into silence. We cannot allow this to happen. They'll lie, brand you as racist, dehumanize you, and all that nonsense. It's dishonest, it's malicious, and it needs to stop. We need to make sure we have a fighting chance in this war by defending free speech. So I started SaveFreeSpeech.ca, and I'm making a documentary to expose these people and organizations who are trying to scare you into silence. To support that, go to GiveSendGo.com/SaveFreeSpeech. Even a small donation makes a huge difference. Thank you, and God bless Canada.